A country where politicians are the richest people in the country is a broken country. We pretend as though we hate the system, but in reality, we're either enjoying the system or we are hoping to get something from the system, or sometimes just stupidly thinking that since somebody from my tribe is there or somebody from my village is there, somehow that makes me a beneficiary of the system. And so because of that, nobody's really saying anything. Even those who need to speak out, like the church, we don't speak out because somehow...
What is Nigeria's poignant issue right now? Is there a solution to that? What can happen right now that can make Nigeria dramatically better in the next 3 to 5 years?
Is there a solution to that? So when I...
Do you struggle with the answer?
When I do, because I've looked at it severally, and I respect everybody's preferences, and that's why my preference for president for Nigeria is Peter Obi. And the reason is simple.
Do Christians really vote?
Yeah, they do.
Because voting is a problem.
It's a problem, but it's not peculiar to Christianity.
Does our vote count?
It's a societal problem. Does our vote count at this stage of our nation's development? Not so much.
In what sense?
So
whether you vote or not, as long as your voter's card is valid, they can use your votes, whether you vote or not.
So that's what I mean by the more people vote, the less room for manipulation.
Wow. You studied political science?
Yes, political science and public admin, UNIBED.
So you are very politically inclined and passionate.
I am that by nature, not necessarily by study. I think I'm just passionate about anything that has to do with people.
Yeah.
I don't think I can remember much of the
subjects in the class.
But I remember what matters. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I would like us to dive a little bit into, because currently we're in a very sensitive period in Nigeria as a country, and this would be a very good time to hear your opinion, and whatever you see can help us as a country. But let me start with, what do you think is the main poignant problem of Nigeria as a country? What are we facing? What is the problem? If you want to summarize it in a very straightforward sentence, what is Nigeria's poignant issue right now?
Nigeria is a complex society, very complex society. And because we're a complex society, our problems are complex. But we've not yet decided to deal with the complexities collectively, to deal with the complexities of the nation called Nigeria. And so what is happening is people pick parts. So for now, Nigeria is seen by most like a cake where everybody just wants to cut their bits and have as much for themselves as they can have. And in the bid to do that, everybody is cut every corner cuttable, bypass every protocol you can, cheat your way through it, lie your way through it, and the society keeps rewarding and applauding people who do so. So the rest, of the people definitely want to toe that same line. That's on an individual level. On a more collective level, or the level of politics in the collective, I think the biggest problem is when people now take that ideology they have on a personal level of, being cutthroat to get whatever you want to get, however you want to get it. They now take it and bring it up to that level of collective politics. So they exploit that tendency in people. I don't know if it's making sense, but it's like this. All they've got to do is to sell to you that I'm your shortcut to either get your cut in the cake.
I get it. Yeah.
Or to make you feel some sense of association with the people that are getting the cake. So that's where you have things like religious bigotry, tribal bigotry, political bigotry, and all that. So for now, the country is not yet it's not yet nationalistic. We are not yet nationalistic in our minds, no matter how we posture that we are, we really are not. We are a gathering of many individual communities and societies, and very individualistic
Different
in our mindset.
agendas.
Yes, very individualistic. So even the crooked politician finds their way, because all they need to sell is to find a way to make you see that we have an in, and then people just line up, irrespective of what the impact will be in the long run or to the
So,
large population.
is there a solution to that?
Is there a solution to that? So when I
Do you struggle with the
when
answer?
I do, because I've looked at it severally. When I look at the country, sometimes I look at it and I feel like, okay, this problem needs to be solved from the um, administrative level of politics, like national politics down. But day to day, when I encounter Nigerians, I'm not sure that fixing up there will fix down here. Until those things are dealt with, I don't think we're going anywhere. So probably we need people up there to show the example, start with the example, start showing us that people can be appreciated for doing the right things. People can be punished for doing the wrong things, irrespective of where they are from, irrespective of, for example, in today's Nigeria, if you're of the same political affiliation, you do so much, but you go scot-free. If you are not of the same political affiliation, you do so little, but they will be
Come
hot
for
on
you.
your case.
Yes.
You understand? If you are from the same, ethnicity,
Tribe, yeah.
everybody shouting, the guy did say, when you come, the guy speaks, now my person wanna leave him. So as long as we keep having those kind of situations, we still have a long way to go. But probably if there's exemplification from the top, and then the people now begin to see that, doing the right stuff is rewarded.
When you say the top,
yeah,
is that not supposed to be the church's role to play?
well,
Because that top
yeah,
are made of individuals,
yes,
and they all have belief in certain spiritual, religious stuff.
Yeah.
So when you say that we can solve it from the administrative level, from that top, you keep saying top. Who is at the top? Is it not the church that is running the state, and the state is running the church? Like,
no,
is there not?
no.
I feel like there's an intertwining.
The church runs the state in a theocratic system, right?
Okay.
Nigeria is not a theocratic system, and
Okay.
we must get that very clearly. Nigeria is a complex society with very many religious organizations and religious faiths. So,
but the church has a role.
Yes, speaking as believers, we know the role that we have. The Bible says that we are the light and we are the salt. And so we're supposed to show these examples, you understand, at least, even if not at the top, at the very least in our various communities and society, where we need to show that example. No doubt about that. But when it comes to the conversation around politics, national politics, state politics, we must sometimes take our gaze off the space. So we are pushing the spiritual agenda. No, I mean the spiritual, we must push it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Believers be believers everywhere, understand the truth of scripture and reflect it. Yes. But at the same time, when it comes to, for example, the national, we don't necessarily have to wait for, if there's no Christian, for example, running on the cards for president or for state governor. You understand? We're not going to say because there's no Christian, we're not going to vote. No. We need to understand these other things. What are the things we require? We need people that are upright. We need people who have a track record of credibility, accountability, integrity, who have a track record of being connected to the people. And so we must still engage in that. So that's why I keep saying there has to be that exemplification.
Do Christians really vote?
Yeah, they do.
Because voting is a problem.
It's a problem, but it's not peculiar to Christianity.
Does our vote count?
It's a societal problem. Does our vote count at this stage of our nation's development? Not so much.
In what sense?
So I think it's an open secret that
open secret.
It's an open secret that votes in Nigeria, oftentimes there's a lot of rigging, and sometimes there's some misappropriation in the vote counting. There's a lot of vote buying, and the thing is, while you can blame the politicians, you would also need to blame the people. As I speak to you now, we have an election coming up. There are people who are actively waiting for the monies that we share during the election. There are women, matured women, old women even in rural areas, that are waiting. They will share rice, they will share, they look forward to it. So they also need the entire society, the entire country needs orientation, and the people who will champion such orientation must be people who really want things to work. Because if you are rigging your way into office, sustaining yourself by illegality,
You won't orient them.
you are not going to invest so much in orientation of telling people the right thing to do. So that's the issue. At the moment now, our votes needs to count better than they are at the moment. So I believe that also feeds into part of the reasons why there's voter apathy, because people feel, the system is always rigged and manipulated. What's the reason?
Point of voting.
What's the point of? But the argument is always, the less people vote, the more room for manipulation. So we need more people to vote so that there's less room for manipulation. So
somebody says something, I don't know if it's true, but let's talk about that. He said, whether you vote or not, as long as your voter's card is valid, they can use your votes, whether you vote or not.
So that's what I mean by the more people vote, the less room for manipulation.
Wow.
If there is room, if I'm saying if there's a way they manipulate people's voter's card and voter record, because the most basic form of manipulation they do is this. If in a political segment, the way we share in Nigeria, in a political segment, there is supposed to be 2,500 votes. And out of those 2,500 votes, only 200 people comes to vote. There is room for manipulation for over 2,000 people. But if there are 2,500 votes and there are 2,200 eligible voters of that 2,500 who maybe are still alive, and then out of that 2,200, 2,000 votes, that leaves less room for manipulation. That also leaves a large number of people who are invested in the process and want to see the thing work right.
Yes.
So if one person or two people come around and try to bamboozle the people or threaten the people, 5 people cannot go against 1,000 persons.
Yes.
You understand? So there is definitely advantage in more people
coming out to
vote. Express their suffrage. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What can happen right now that can make Nigeria dramatically better in the next 3 to 5 years? What can shift that can change this country's, the landscape of the economy, the education system? What do you think can be done that is feasible, that is possible? In what sector can there be a shift that such shifts can bring a dramatic change for good in, let's say, 3 to 5, let's even say to 10 years? What can happen?
Let's make politics less financially attractive.
Say that again.
Make politics less financially attractive. People would always indulge in stuff that will give them money. The more money is in politics, not in administration. The more money that is in politics, the more people sell all they have to go into politics, because they know that once they get in, they are going to make it back 100 times. I'm not talking theory. I know people who sell everything. I've known of people who were nobodies and got into a political office, even a state legislature, and in a space of 1 year, this person that had nothing and hardly had a car, even if they had one that was old and hardly running properly, in a space of 1 year, they have a fleet of cars, they are building mansions. So in as much as it is financially attractive, Nigeria will never progress. That is why, and I respect everybody's preferences, and that's why my preference for president for Nigeria is Peter Obi. And the reason is simple. I know people make arguments about, it doesn't, is this. My reason is, the less money we have in politicking, even the rancor that will come from that. I used to tell my wife, and I say, I would welcome it. Even the conflicts that will come from that will be in development, because it will mean that either the country progresses or breaks down and rebuilds. Either way, that's the only way the country moves forward. Because the kind of money you have in Nigerian politics is insane. As I'm talking to you now, if we want to say the truth, every money you see that is budgeted in Nigeria today, more than 60% of it, directly and in what 60%, more than 70% of it, directly and indirectly, goes into politics and into politicians.
Of the top 1% in this place. Yes.
So in as much and if a country where politicians are the richest people in the country is a broken country. So until that is changed, until people go into politics,
not for monetary
reasons, because you feel it's a calling, and the calling is to help people, and you go there, and you had a business before you went there, and you went there, you finished, you went back to your business or went back to your career, or went
you have
back
your
to
thing going on, job.
And some people, you even be begging some people to come into politics, and they say no, it will take from my time and all that. Until we get to that point, I don't think the country will really move forward. And I'm talking on all levels, federal, states. Look, even at the level of wards, there's so much money circulating around the pockets of the politicians, and so little is actually, even some that are legitimately written for projects end up with politicians, and there's no outrage. And the reason there's no outrage is because a lot of persons see that and they feel like, oh, let me not cry out, because maybe when it's my turn, I'll do same, or when my person is there, or maybe actively they are enjoying something from, someone who they know who is in the system. So we pretend as though we hate the system, but in reality, we're either enjoying the system or we are hoping to get something from the system, or sometimes just stupidly thinking that since somebody from my tribe is there or somebody from my village is there, somehow that makes me a beneficiary of the system. And so because of that, nobody's really saying anything. Even those who need to speak out, like the church, we don't speak out because somehow, if it's not that maybe, if the entire organization, maybe, the religious Christian organizations, they are getting something from the system, they go quiet. Sometimes they are not getting anything, but because the leaders are getting, while others are crying out, the leaders will keep quiet.
Yes.
Because like we say in Nigeria, table manners, when you are eating, you don't talk.
At the
so
table.
you keep quiet because you are part of the feast. That's the unfortunate situation.
So if we make politics less financially attractive, it will bring out leaders who are more concerned about building the nation than just making money.
Yes.
Okay, so leaders like this Burkina Faso leader, what's his name now?
Traoré.
Ibrahim Traoré. He's following the patterns of the Thomas Sankara, the Patrice Lumumbas, and all of that. Do you think that is a good idea for Nigeria? Because Ibrahim Traoré is obviously not there to make money. You can see, I don't know him. But from our standpoint, we can tell that he's very patriotic. He has the people in mind. I just saw that he has changed the uniform of the soldiers into something more localized. He's touching the grassroots. He's feeling the people. Do you think Nigeria needs something like that?
Don't set me up for security probes. Because but let me say this.
No, it's an overview.
So the thing is this: when we have such situations like in Africa, for example, I think it reveals another deeper problem. So the thing is, when things like that happen, they reveal a problem of how that we are not able to rule or lead ourselves, properly lead ourselves. Because oftentimes, even though we don't encourage military takeover, because it's never a good idea to put total powers in the hands of one person or a few persons, but sometimes you find that even the democratic systems still operate that same way. So it's an exposure or exposition of the failure of the system as was. And so it also reveals that we are not able to solve our systemic problems, and find a solution. I tend to feel that Africans a lot of times posture like people who will be more comfortable with leaderships. No, not with colonized, with leaderships that are more, at least most African territories, will be more comfortable with leadership system that is more controlling,
Hmm.
because that's our origin. You know, the Yorubas, they had obas, even though they had systems of checks, but they had obas who were largely, in control. The Northerners have this totalitarian system. Maybe in the eastern part is where you find maybe more
More liberty,
republicanism,
yeah.
yes. But generally speaking, for most, so our ability to even sit down and have a conversation about the kind of systems that will most effectively produce the best from our societies is a problem. We need to be able to see that. I don't know why, not just in Nigeria, there seems to be a fear to have that. What if people will live together?
Why can't they
Let's
discuss
have
these
that
things?
conversation about how, because the truth is, if we decide and agree, for example, that we want a full
Working,
federal system,
yes.
or even a confederalism, each unit can decide what works best for them and reverts back to the cultural, their historical, traditional
Mm-hmm.
way of system, and maybe be more comfortable with that, kind of system. So I'm not really in support of the military. I was a little bit, I was
You
coming up,
experienced it.
I experienced the military. It's not a good thing for totalitarian power to rest in one person or in a few persons, even though I must still say again that there are many things this
We are
current
not
governments,
democratic like this,
yes,
though.
there are many things we do now that still reflects that totalitarian nature, but I don't think we need to get that far. We just need, everybody needs to put their acts together, get things done the right way, and if we have the right leaders, I believe that there will not be need for a military intervention.
To that
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like with what we have said now, if you have been watching us, you can see that we are trying to touch deep areas from the body of Christ to politics,
Yeah.
and many other things. We have touched sex and all of that. And what I think in the case of Nigeria is that at the end of the day, it still boils down. I always emphasize on the Black consciousness, and second thing, parenting.
Yeah.
That's one of my passionate
Yeah.
area of discussion,
Yeah.
because I strongly believe that if at the family unit the parents model a kind of the way the home is being run, it starts from there.
Yeah.
The way things are being shared in the home, the
Yeah.
way siblings treat each other,
Yeah.
then it extends into the culture, the local government, the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Before that individual becomes a president or anything,
Yeah.
you must have learned some things from home.
Yeah.
And then the Black consciousness, which we hardly talk about these days,
Yeah.
how the Black man should begin to see more value in themselves,
Yeah.
and to have this, like you said, conversations without having frictions that are extreme, how we can discuss things amicably. We don't have to agree.
Yeah.
Somebody always say there can be unity in diversity.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be uniform to be unity.
Yeah.
Even though we have different worldviews, different political and political standpoints, we can still discuss those things in a very pragmatic way,
Yeah.
without having to,
Yeah.
I believe that Black consciousness should be reawakened.
Yeah.
That's what I think can also help if there is a way out at all. This podcast is sponsored by DIORA Cosmetics. And for those of you who don't know DIORA Cosmetics is a subsidiary of GEOCHIN International Limited, and they focus on manufacturing cosmetics. And GEOCHIN has other industries under it, like the educational sector. They have a shopping mall and many other things, agricultural sector. So DIORA Cosmetics, if you have not followed them, just search for that name. It should be somewhere on the screen or in the caption of this video. Search for that name, join that community, follow their page, DIORA Cosmetics, and you can place your order for any of their products, their shea butter, their coconut hair cream, their black. They have so many products. Go to their catalog and check for whatever you like. It's very good to have you here, sir. And
It's been a pleasure.
I would love to have you again if it's possible, but that will be in the future.
Yeah.
And is there any events you have coming up that you'd like to share with us?
Our events are usually posted online. There will be none to talk about at the moment,
Okay.
but you can always check us out. Personally, You can find me on Facebook and on any platform. My username is at TUFF Bishop, TUFFBISHOP, written together at TUFF Bishop on YouTube and all that. So just give me a follow and you can stay abreast with all of our programs.
We are on all platforms.
On some, not
Some,
all.
okay.
There are always platforms evolving every day. But we are on most of the important ones.
All
yes,
right. Thank you very
definitely.
much for coming.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Once again, this is sponsored by DIORA Cosmetics. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Leave your comments in the comment section. And check us out on all platforms. We are there: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We are there. My name is Nelson Ange Joseph. And thanks for watching.